WTTV, the station for high school sports, is proud to present another IHSAA championship event. The Indianapolis Semi-State Championship is brought to you in part by Hooks. We like to see you smile. By your local McDonald's restaurants. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. By Kroger, a part of Indiana since 1924. See the difference. Go Krogering. By your Central Indiana Pontiac Pack dealers. By Indiana Farmers Mutual Insurance Group and their independent agents throughout Indiana. And by Hills, a different kind of department store, saluting American competition.
Tonight, there's magic in the air as we come to you live from Hinkle Fieldhouse on the Butler University campus for the final time this 1986-87 high school basketball season. It's the championship game of the Indianapolis Semi-State, showcasing the 22-4 Red Devils of Richmond, winners over Bloomington South earlier today, and the Marauders of Mt Vernon, who defeated Pike this afternoon to move their record to 22-3. Hello again, everybody. This is Jerry Baker. Well, we're down to the final 8 teams of this great state high school basketball tournament. 380 teams have fallen by the wayside. In the next couple of hours, 4 more will falter, and 4 will move on to Market Square Arena. One of those moving on will come from here at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And before tonight's game between Mt Vernon and Richmond, let's meet the coaches involved with tonight's game. Here's my buddy, Tom Hetchen.
Well, we have George Griffith, the head coach of the Richmond Red Devils. Coach, nobody said this was going to be easy, and you had a tough one this afternoon, and this ball club you're meeting tonight really was impressive, didn't you think?
Well, we've watched them the last 3 weeks, and they're very impressive. Somebody told us about Mt Vernon in November. Said, watch out for Mt Vernon, so we got to see them, and we're really worried. They're a very well-coached ball club. They're scrappy. They're very intelligent. They run the kind of tempo that they want to run, and they play a great defense.
They're kind of like you defensively. They like to come down the floor, extend their defense, and go after you a little bit. You're probably used to playing against that, aren't you?
I hope they do that. I hope it's a good tempo ball game. We need to get up and down the floor like we didn't do today.
I know that you've been here before. You got 2 years ago. Does that have any bearing? Any kids on that ball club around here tonight?
Well, Jerry Coleman and Woody Austin were there. Jerry Coleman was our third guard, and Woody was a freshman having a lot of fun. But yes, that does. They take it that we're coming in here to win. They know this is what it's all about. This is what we shot the season for this game, and I think they'll play very well.
Well, what's the most difficult thing you think you have to prepare for, although lack of time, against Mt Vernon?
Well, we were disappointed in our rebounding and running today, so we have to get that done tonight.
Derek Shelton certainly was a handful this afternoon for Pike, and I know that you're prepared to handle him tonight.
He's a great athlete, great football player, a great emotional kid, a great motivator, and we can't let him get 28 against us tonight.
Can we look for Woody Austin to get the ball in his hands a little more often in shooting range tonight?
Let's hope so. Let's hope that Woody has a good ball game. He's a little more patient on offense till he gets rolling. But the thing is that if we run, that will happen. If we don't run, then we have some problems.
Coach, good luck to you. We're looking forward to a good ball game.
Thank you very much.
George Griffith, the head coach of the Richmond Red Devils, and now here's Jerry.
All right, thank you, Tom. Jimmy Howell is alongside. Jimmy, I know you got to be just beaming with enthusiasm and excitement. Your ball club won its first ever regional. Now you're just 32 minutes away from perhaps the first ever semi-state in the school's history.
Well, we're pretty excited about it. As you can see, the fans are probably more excited than what we are, but we played good ball the last 3 weeks. We're going to come out and play as hard as we can tonight and see what happens.
Jimmy, number 30, Derek Shelton, had one of those games you want to write home about. He had 28 points, 13 rebounds, hit 8 of 12 field goals, and 12 of 13 free throws. Might that be his best ball game of the year?
Probably is. He's a gamer. He's a great athlete. He had 23 points and 14 rebounds against Muncie South last Friday. So it seems like the bigger the game, the better he plays.
Now, Jimmy, let me ask you, was there anywhere along the way where you felt confident enough to go ahead and do some scouting on either Richmond or Bloomington South so you have some idea what's going to happen in this ball game tonight?
Well, this week we've gathered some tapes of them. I've talked to a lot of coaches. I was fortunate enough that I had seen Pike play earlier this year against Anderson Highland, one of the teams that we played. But I had seen Richmond a little bit on a TV station once, and Anderson, but that's about all I'd seen.
You and I were chatting briefly a while ago about the time element. You had about a 2 hour less or more, two and a half hours less of rest time and preparation time. First off, what was your schedule? After you left Hinkle Fieldhouse today, what was your schedule?
Well, we went and ate, and then we went to a parent of one of the kids, and spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours just laying around resting. And while my assistant coach and I went back and looked at some tape of Richmond and gathered some things about them.
I was down to the locker room a while ago and saw some of your team members down there, and they were kind of pawing the floor. They're obviously anxious to get out here, and I suppose that, at least initially, that fatigue may not become a factor in the ball game.
Well, I hope not. I think fatigue a lot of times is mental, and we've tried to put it across to them that we've prepared for 2 months to play 2 games in 1 day. It's here, and let's see how we function with it.
You have done a marvelous job with this ball club, and you are the people's choice, at least here tonight, so we wish you and the Marauders the best of success.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Jimmy Howell, the head basketball coach at Mt Vernon. And that's the crowd yelling for Jimmy as he heads to the locker room here at Hinkle Fieldhouse. So we're just minutes away from the opening tip-off. It, of course, is for the semi-state championship and the right to mow on the Market Square Arena next Saturday morning. When we return, this is the basketball home run, I suppose, of high school basketball, and we're 32 minutes away from making that move downtown. Well, here's the way things shape up now on the roads of Market Street, which is where Market Square Arena is located. Tom, any surprises as far as you're concerned today? At Fort Wayne, it'll be Penn and Marion tonight. Penn, a winner over Northrop, 75-54. Marion really shellacked Rogers, 95-63. Maybe not surprised at Marion winning, but that margin was surprising to me anyway.
Well, I think it was surprising probably to the people watching the ball game for the first half, and then Marion really took off and put it away with ease.
At Evansville tonight, it's Bedford North Lawrence, a winner over North Harrison, 70-53. Taking on Evansville Memorial, a 73-71 winner over third-ranked Terre Haute North. A lot of folks thought North would come out of there.
Well, they did, but you look at the records, they each lost 1 ball game, so it really shouldn't be a surprise.
How about this Damon Bailey, perhaps, getting his first shot, if all goes well, at Market Square Arena?
Yeah, kind of a lot of magic around Damon, and I'm sure if the Stars win down there tonight, that we're going to hear a lot about him in the coming week.
And, of course, the winner here tonight, Richmond or Mt Vernon, will go up against either Gary Roosevelt or Lafayette Catholic. Roosevelt a winner over McCutcheon, 57-46. And Lafayette Central Catholic came from behind by, I think we had them at 11 1 point, to beat Carmel 56-55.
Well, that ball club could be a kind of a sleeper, particularly if they can get through there tonight. They might wind up with an opportunity to win the whole thing, as any of the 4 would have, certainly.
So we have narrowed the field from 388 down to 8. In the next couple of hours, as I suggest, we'll be down to the final 4. Our coverage next Saturday, by the way, begins at 10:30 in the morning. The first game at 11 o'clock. We'll pit the Fort Wayne winner against the Evansville winner. And then somewhere around 12:30, we'll have the Lafayette winner against the winner here tonight at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then, of course, the championship game, which will tip off at 8:05, and will be on the air at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. Now let's go across the floor and meet tonight's teams. Here's Ivan Moorman.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your lineups for the Mt Vernon Marauders. Number 11, Kurt Petty. Number 20, Tim Cox. Number 21, Mike Haynes. Number 12, John Klein. Number 42, Pat Bennett. Number 50, Matt Russell. Number 32, Jeff Lady. Starting at a forward, number 40, Troy Cross. At the other forward, number 30, Derek Shelton. At center, number 52, Tony Long. At a guard, number 13, Mike Shelton. At the other guard, number 10, Chris Rankin. And their coach, Jimmy Howell. For the Richmond Red Devils, number 42, Maryland Cooper. Number 40, Derek Cooper. Number 22, A.J. Hendricks. Number 20, Chris Bailey. Number 50, Andy Gaydash. Number 24, Troy Christopher. Number 12, Shane Bledsoe. Starting at a forward, number 32, John Claiborne. At the other forward, number 34, David Cruz. At center, number 44, Andrew Stella. At a guard, number 10, Woody Austin. At the other guard, number 30, Jerry Coleman. And their coach, George Griffith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the presentation of the colors by Cadet Captain Hoopengarner, Cadet Major Stokes, Cadet Commanding Sergeant Major Hodges, Cadet Colonel Lee, and Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Thacker of Arsenal Tech High School. Would you join and sing as the national anthem is played by Scott Ramsey and Fred Shinlever of Tech High School?
Here are the statistical matchups for tonight's championship game of the Hinkle Fieldhouse Semi-State. As you look on your screen, Mount Vernon a better offensive and defensive average than Richmond. But the shooting department belongs to the Richmond Red Devils, and they have out-rebounded Mount Vernon, or would, at least statistically, by about 2 rebounds per ball game. Tom, there's not a lot in any of those categories that makes much difference tonight as far as differentials concerned.
No, I would say the most telling story might be from the free throw line. Richmond this afternoon, however, from the free throw stripe, did a pretty nice job in their ball game with South. They stepped up there and hit 76%. Mount Vernon had 70%. The officials tonight on the left, Dick Cook from Michigan City, Steve Fisher from Lagodi on the right. They'll work this semi-state championship ball game, and we're ready to go.
Most of Mount Vernon scoring comes from the guards, Cross and Shelton at 29-3 between them. And most of Richmond scoring down low, with Austin and Coleman accounting for almost 41 points per game for the Red Devils, who control the opening tip.
We'll see a couple of varieties of zone defenses here tonight by both ball clubs.
Richmond will face that zone being set up by Mount Vernon. And the zone buster, of course, is Jerry Coleman, who has the basketball. He and Woody Austin are the guards, with Stell in the middle. There's the baseline jumper by David Cruz, and the rebound comes down to Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon will not give you, if any indication came out of this afternoon's game, very many second opportunities. Rankin and Shelton at guard. Long shot missed and rebounded by Cruz. Long in the middle, and Derek Shelton and Troy Cross at the forward spots.
Shot was taken by Cross, maybe a little out of his range. That's one of the longer efforts today by either ball club, and these two clubs aren't bashful.
Richmond a winner over Bloomington South, 60-54 in a game that saw them down by 1 at halftime, but they had a more severe battle on their hands than a lot of people thought they would. Last touch, they say, by Shelton, and the ball belongs to the Richmond Red Devils again. Mount Vernon a winner over Pike, 63-56. In a game they simply held Pike at bay. Neither club got much of a lead, and that 7-point differential represented the biggest margin in the ball game, as a matter of fact.
You know, there was a point in that final quarter where Mount Vernon could do nothing offensively, and there's Jerry Coleman.
Coleman had 18 points and 5 boards in the win over Bloomington South. His average is 17-5. He shoots 44% from the floor, but his first opportunity goes through for the day. Now to Shelton, who had that great ball game. 2-0 is the score. Move it inside, and they got the open layup. Long did a good job positioning himself down on the baseline, and the Mount Vernon guards got the ball down there to him in a hurry. Off the mark, rebounded by Tony Long. Baseball pass up court. This is Tony Cross. Cross got the shot and got the roll, and it's going to count. The foul is called. Cross is fired up. His first bucket of the ball game. And the foul is against 34. That's David Cruz, and here it comes again.
Well, Tony Long did not hesitate. He threw Long to Cross. Cross made a good move against Cruz. Had that ball nice and soft on the rim, drew the foul, and he'll be at the stripe. One of the things you can say about Mount Vernon, of course, a lot of people come in having seen these ball clubs for the first time, have some perceptions about names, sizes, but they all came away this afternoon saying, hey, those guys have a bunch of good athletes, and that's truly what they are.
Cross converts the three-point play. Troy with a total of 3 points in the ball game now. He had a tremendous game this afternoon. The forwards were just phenomenal for this Mount Vernon ball club. It's a 5-2 lead for Mount Vernon.
Now, if Richmond's going to play Austin inside against this zone, I'm not sure he's going to get his hands on the ball enough. There, he gets one right there. But enough times to really have the offensive threat that Coach George Griffith would like for him to be.
Woody was a semi-quick starter early in the game with 6 points this afternoon. Here's the miss by Shelton. Then things kind of cooled down, but he still had a great 19-point effort. Thrown away, but last touch, they say, by the Mt Vernon Marauders. Richmond is 22-4. Mt Vernon 22-3. Mt Vernon was not ranked in the preseason poll nor the final poll. Richmond ranked number 16 in AP's poll, 13 by UPI in the preseason markings, and 6 in both polls at the end of the season. Here's Austin again.
Well, you've got to get the ball in his hands if you're Richmond, because he is a threat each time he touches it.
Making it a 6-5 ball game in favor of Mount Vernon.
Mike Shelton took a shot the last time Mount Vernon had it down. There's Rankin taking one. And those are two unusual situations. Nice rebound by Long. Tony Long.
Second bucket for Tony. He has 4.
Unusual in the fact that outside of Long, Derek, Shelton, and Cross, only 8 shots were taken by the remaining club totals for Mount Vernon this afternoon, so their offense is in the front court.
Richmond today used 4 substitutes. Rebounded by Austin. And got the roll. So Woody has 6 points. And Mount Vernon today used 3 substitutes. None of whom put in a lot of time, but they were on the court, so there are familiar faces to bring in off the bench. Rankin got the roll. Chris did not have a very good ball game today as far as scoring was concerned. He had no points and no rebounds. He averages just under 5 points per contest. A near steal, but Woody Austin's got it again, and he's hot.
Yeah, they got him outside that time, and you've got to get him out there where he can get it because he is a tremendous basketball player.
It is a 10-9 lead for the Richmond Red Devils over Mount Vernon. Here is the ball being kicked. It'll belong to Mount Vernon. Jimmy Howell was sincerely concerned about the time situation. We talked, as you were talking with George Griffith, he was concerned about that. He lost a couple of hours of rest time. And you wonder, the kids can start out early because the adrenaline is flowing like gangbusters, but how long can they keep that up? Well, we'll find out. Good rebound by John Claiborne. Coleman brings it across the line. He loves that area right there.
Well, I can tell you that George Griffith is feeling better because his conversation all day has been what Coleman and Austin do are going to be the factors that determine how well we're going to do. And right now they're doing very well.
Austin's got the rebound. Woody averages 7.8. Now he's a guard and he leads the club in rebounding. Here's a walking violation. And we'll turn the ball back over to Mount Vernon. George Griffith, the head coach of the Red Devils, in his 5th year, has won now 89 games at Richmond. He's won 7 sectionals, 5 regionals, and would love to have that second semi-state. He won one in '85 and went to the championship game against Marion. Strong move to the hoop by Long, and a foul is called. It'll be on Richmond, and we'll put the number behind Andrew Stell's name. First on him, second against the club.
Hey, you've got to be impressed by the way Mount Vernon dictates what they're going to do with the basketball. See, they're not backing off. Long comes right into Stell, gets a ball up that almost had a chance to fall in, although they called it a non-shooting foul, so they're going to put it in off the baseline.
3-point lead for the Richmond Red Devils. The inbounds pass is almost stolen, finally gathered in by Troy Cross, and they get it in the middle, and there is number 30, Derek Shelton. His first points of the night. He had one of those things you want to put in a bronze statue someplace with a 28.13 rebound afternoon. Woody Austin again. Oh my, he is really on a rip. 5 field goals. I'm not sure he's missed a shot yet. He's a 57% field goal shooter on the year. And we're 3:05 to go in this first period, and the score is 14-11. Almost a sensational pass inside by Shelton. Now, we're going to see substitutions early in this contest, and I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, to see a lot of them throughout the contest.
No, I think you're right. Cox is in. That's Tim Cox for Mount Vernon. Going to replace Mike Shelton. Andrew Stell goes to the bench. We're going to have a timeout here with 3:01 to play in this quarter.
We'll sort out the lineup for you and be right back. 3:01 to play, period 1. It's Richmond 14, Mount Vernon 11. In the first 5 minutes of this basketball game, Richmond is at 7 out of 10. Woody Austin, I believe, is 5 out of 5. Mount Vernon, so far in this contest, shooting 5 of 11 for 45%.
Well, the Red Devils have Larlin Cooper in the ball game. He played in the contest this afternoon, and they have A.J. Hendricks also in the lineup.
Both of those guys played this afternoon, as a matter of fact.
It was Cruz and Stell that went to the bench.
Got the inbounds pass to Troy Cross and taken away. Richmond appears to be the fresher of the two ball clubs right now. Coleman. One of the new arrivals, A.J. Hendricks. That's John Claiborne's first bucket of the night.
And that equals his output of the afternoon. He had a nice angle on the board, used it well.
5-point lead for the Richmond Red Devils with 2.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Rankin, top of the free throw circle. Out of bounds and off the foot of one of the Richmond Red Devils. Now some more substitutions for Richmond. 44. Andrew Stell will come back into the lineup, and David Cruz will rejoin him. And out will go A.J. Hendricks and Larlin Cooper. And that's just what we talked about. Grab yourself a minute and blow in the...
At the end of the quarter, get right in there.
Vernon and on Tony Long.
Now, Tony reacted a little slowly right here. He gets the ball, And instead of going right up there, he's going to fake a little bit and then move in to the defender Stell rather than to get straight up, and that was the cause of the problem. Now Mount Vernon's going to put a full court pressing defense on Richmond.
Interesting. Larlin Cooper has come back in, replacing John Claiborne. So apparently they're going to use Hendricks and Cooper just to, there's a walking violation, just to sub for whomever might need a blow now and then. There is George Griffith, head coach of the Richmond Red Devils. He has been here before.
Mount Vernon had the full court defense that time, and George indicated he hoped that that's the way that they would play Richmond tonight. He likes that.
3-second lane violation. Long got camped inside there, and the official on the baseline caught him. Richmond lost 2 games out of their first 3, beaten by Fort Wayne North by 10. Newcastle got them by 2. Then they lost at Marion 51-49. That's as close as anybody's been all year. And then they went to Middletown, Ohio, and lost by 1 over there. Out of bounds to Richmond.
Of course, people throughout the state are anticipating that Marion will be one of the 4 next week. And you know, if you're Richmond and have lost by only 2, you would love to have another opportunity.
Here are the turnovers, not many early on in this basketball game with 1:50 to go in the first period. Yeah, you're right, Tom, because you always come away thinking, he could have got it. There is Coleman's 3rd bucket. Well, the guards are filling it up. Woody Austin's got 10. Jerry Coleman has 6. That's 16 to the 18 on the board. And it's a 7-point lead now for the Richmond Red Devils. Rankin got 2 at the other end. Chris Rankin's 2nd bucket. He's already had a much better game than he had in the opener in that win over Pike in the 2nd game of the afternoon.
Well, if there are such things this point in the ball game, that was an important basket for Mount Vernon.
Offensive foul. They dished it down to the baseline, and then Cruz, moving on through the middle, picked up the personal foul.
All right, Dave Cruz playing a little out of control right here, number 34. That's 10 Austin. That's not the man. But see the pass very clearly. And then bang, he is right in to Tony Long, and the official correctly made the call.
Now Claiborne has come back into the lineup for Richmond, and Cruz has gone out to get a rest. So George Griffith doing a workmanlike job of getting bodies in and out of that lineup. Only Austin and Coleman have not been out. I'm not sure Estelle has seen any bench time either. So the forwards are getting some rest time.
Well, I don't believe that Austin and Coleman are going to see much rest time tonight.
Not with the hands as hot as they've got right now. Here's Woody again. I'm running out of space in the score column for him already.
How you can have a better quarter shooting than what he's had.
I'm not sure he's missed one. If he did, it was the first one he took. 20-13, 7-point lead. Rankin, he loves that area and got it again. So Chris Rankin has come up with some points. They got 2 points total out of their guards in that win over Pike, 63-56 today. They've got to have more scoring out of them tonight. Dished off inside. Here is Woody Austin trying to flip it up on the reverse, and will instead go to the free throw line with the foul being called on Mount Vernon.
Well, Troy Cross is going to get caught right here. There's Derek Shelton being beaten by Coleman. Goes inside, flips the ball off to Austin. Look at Austin in good position. Coleman with good hands caught him, and Cross, of course, makes the body contact, and Austin will be at the line. Chris Rankin, we mentioned, has 3 baskets here in this first quarter. This afternoon, he only shot the ball 4 times without a field goal. Chris is going to take a bit of a rest right here, and we have John Klein in the ball game, number 12.
We are told we have contact with the official scorers that Woody Austin's now 6 out of 7 from the floor, so perhaps he did miss the first one in that attempt. Here's Austin, who was an 80% free throw shooter, getting his first free throw. Now some more substitutions. Into the lineup for Richmond is A.J. Hendricks again. For Mount Vernon, Mike Haynes is in the lineup. At the free throw line, number 10, Woody Austin.
Derek Shelton went out, so Jimmy Howell recognizes the fact that he's going to have to give his ball players a little bit of a breather tonight.
And Austin is having an all-star first quarter with 6 field goals out of 7 attempts and 2 out of 2 from the free throw stripe. 21-15 is the lead for the Richmond Red Devils. Final 22 seconds of the first quarter. Now we're down to 15 seconds. This is Cox. Now Klein. They swing it near side. This is Cross. And the rebound comes down to John Claiborne. They may get a shot away. 3, 2. Here's Woody Austin. And he almost got that thing. That's the first period. And Richmond has taken command of the basketball game. They lead by 6, 21-15. Well, somebody was a little slow on the trigger finger. Then they didn't put the next point up for Richmond until about halfway through the timeout between periods. It's 22-15. Woody Austin had 14 of the Richmond points in the first period. Tom, I got a feeling Tony Long can do that. He got his first couple of field goals almost in that same kind of a play where he goes to the hoop, and then he sort of disappeared for a while. Look at it again here.
Tony Long is outstanding when he gets the ball, what we say on the square, the white square. He's right off there outside the lane, you see. He has good hands. Austin almost knocked it away, but good strong hands and a good strong move to the basket. Long with an opportunity, and he does complete a three-point effort.
Tony was not very good at the stripe earlier in the day. He was 3 out of 8 in the afternoon affair. He shoots 57% all the year. That cuts the lead down now to 22-18, a 4-point differential. Here's Austin again. Well, he's missed 2 in a row. Tapped out long to Coleman. He has 8. And Richmond moves the lead back to a half a dozen. 30 seconds into the second period. That is an active zone defense, Tom.
Well, they do a nice job. Cross has had to take his shots much farther out than I'm sure he's used to shooting. And he is a good shooter. And
if that's correct, Tom, that's Andrew Stell's third personal foul.
Long. Here's the wrong rebound because the shot was taken so far out. Haynes is in there, and a foul call. Stell did get his balance lost for a moment, long enough to fall into a player and get whistled for the foul.
Tony Long, who's at the free throw line, was on the senior Babe Ruth League All-State team last summer. He's a first baseman. He's got some pretty good height. You can see how that would come about. He's had 64 points in the tournament coming into the semi-state, 24 in the regional, and 40 in the sectional when he had games of 16 and 24 points. And Tony tonight has 8 points. He had 11 in the afternoon win over Pike.
Mount Vernon in the bonus already. They themselves have committed only 2 fouls, so Richmond not to that point from the free throw stripe as of yet.
Richmond had a 7-point lead at the end of the first quarter, 22-15. They're now up by 4 with 52 seconds gone here in the second period. A mad scramble right at the timeline, and finally a foul is called. And the foul is on 21, Mike Haynes. And as Tom told you, that's still just the third team foul, so no shots involved at this point of the basketball game.
That's a frustrating situation for all the players involved on both clubs. You think you have the ball and somebody deflects it away and you get your hands on it, and in a scramble like that, and then you have a knack of being in an unfortunate position and get whistled for the foul.
Haynes on the rebound. And now Mount Vernon can get as close as they've been for a while. They've got Derek Shelton running from one side of the floor to the other. He was the guy. Now he's got the basketball. He had the hot hand earlier today. Oh, what a great move. What a sensational move by Tony Long. You can see, Tom, he wants the basketball right now.
Well, he had to get the ball high in the air, extended his arm, made a nice shot of it.
Woody Austin off balance. After missing 2 in a row, Woody's got it again. He has 16 points. We thought he had a good afternoon game in the win over Bloomington South with 19 points and 3 rebounds. But he's up on a tear with 16. We still got 6 minutes to go in the first half. Inside and off the fingertips that time of Tony Long.
Ball a little tough to handle and a little bit out of the reach of Long to make a clean catch.
Troy Cross will be back in momentarily for the Mt Vernon Marauders, looking for their 23rd win of the year. Here's the turnover right in front of us here, Jerry Coleman. Tom, it looks like that Richmond's defense, the zone, packs down so low to the baseline that when they get the ball down there to Shelton or Tony Long, they don't have much room to work with down there.
No, they're not, and the big problem is Rankin has hit 3 outside. But other than that, nobody's really had a good shooting hand outside for Mount Vernon right now, so they feel compelled to go low.
Well, he will try one upside again. This is Klein missing, and the rebound snared out of there by David Cruz.
No competition for that rebound. Mount Vernon not close, and Cruz took it unmolested.
4-point lead for Richmond. Mount Vernon led by 3 early in the contest, real early in the contest, and since then has been an uphill climb. First 2 for David Cruz. Averaging 8 points per contest. 6'4" junior starting at forward. 5:20 to play in the first half. Back to the 6-point lead. Well, they tried to force one inside. He will have a held ball and will go the other way. It'll belong to Richmond. Have a score for you coming out of the Fort Wayne semi-state. Marion's Giants running roughshod early in that ball game. They're in the second quarter, and it's now Marion leading 33-15. 33-15 score, Marion. And Tom, they got by what many people thought might have been a championship game against Michigan City Rogers, and they just did a remarkable job. So we're going to see them probably next Saturday. Walking violation on Woody Austin.
Coach George Griffith just shakes his head. He evidently a little disappointed in what Woody did, or couldn't believe that he had traveled, according to the whistle blown by referee Dick Cook.
Almost a foul called on Derek Shelton, but instead David Cruz brings it up. Out to Coleman. Now here's Woody Austin again. Rebounded by Shelton. Quick flip pass up court to Troy Cross. Cross pulls up for the 15-footer. Oh, they just got no outside game at all right now. 4.5 minutes to go here in the first half. 28-22.
There was a great tip.
Was it Claiborne?
John Claiborne.
Second field goal for Claiborne. That really pumped up that Richmond crowd.
Great timing and nice hands, guided the ball off the backboard, and that's the easiest way to get a tip in, is to tip it toward the board and let that help you.
That's the biggest lead of the ball game. 8 points at 30-22. Skip pass across court down deep to Rankin. Still no roll. Ball loose. Picked up by Jerry Coleman. Here comes Coleman, 1-on-3. Stutter steps his way inside and got the hoop anyway. It might be time for Jimmy Howell to think timeout. Indeed he will. All of a sudden, Richmond explodes. They were toying with a 6-point lead, and now suddenly it's stretched to 10. With 3:52 to go in the half, 32-22, Richmond leads Mount Vernon.
At Mackey Arena, there's the score in the second quarter. Lafayette Catholic may have spent themselves this afternoon in coming back over Carmel. Gary Roosevelt very much in command.
Shooting story in the first half. 15 of 24 for Richmond. They're shooting 63%. Mount Vernon hitting 9 of 22 for 41%. No basket. Foul call on Richmond. Out on 42. We'll take a look at it again. That's Larlin Cooper's first.
Well, this is one I'm sure Cooper thought he had good position. By long, pass goes off to Cross, and a blocking foul on Cooper.
Tony Long goes back to the free throw line. He is 3 out of 3. Troy Cross is 1 for 1. So Mount Vernon as a ball club is 4 out of 4. They shot 70% of the victory over the Pike Red Devils. Speaking of Pike, Ed Siegel will be our guest at halftime. We always invite the afternoon losing coaches to join us. And Ed is here, so we'll chat briefly with Ed at halftime. And like you suggested earlier in today, he's probably already thinking about next year. He is that kind of a guy. He's that devoted to his profession.
Troy Cross is going to have to become a scorer outside for Mount Vernon to get back in the ball game. He's really had some miserable luck on his shooting thus far.
Yeah, right now Richmond can really drop their defense back in low because there's nobody of any danger at all outside. Quite the contrary for Richmond. They can take the outside shot. Although Coleman misses, the tap up still won't go. A couple of the black shirts fight for it, and finally Mount Vernon comes out of there with it. Troy Cross brings it across the timeline.
Yeah, Claiborne nearly had another tip in there.
Got it inside the log. Couldn't find the handle. Finally does. Now the foul coming in from behind on Jerry Coleman. Coleman's first foul. Andrew Stell, the starting center for Richmond, is in foul trouble. He had 3 in a hurry. Nobody else is anywhere near any kind of difficulty.
Long had a difficult time getting that ball under control, and when he did, Coleman, thinking it might pop loose once more, happened to be in a position to whack him on the arm, and Long at the line for his 6th free throw attempt of the half.
After hitting 4 in a row, he has now missed 2 in succession. Quickly, Coleman had it deflected away, out of bounds to the Richmond Red Devils.
Tony Long got back very well on defense that time.
Well, they're going to call a foul, I guess. They're calling a foul on Tony Long.
Yeah, we really can't tell from this particular angle whether it was ball only or the arm, but the official had an angle that is going to put Coleman at the free throw line.
George Griffith is very secure in his guards. He says if Jones and Edwards of Marion are the best guard combination in the state, then Austin and Coleman are the second best. And between them, they had 37 points and 8 rebounds from the guard spots earlier in the day. So pretty hard to dispute that kind of thinking right now. Coleman now with 12 points. 6 in the first, 6 in the second. Woody Austin's cooled down somewhat. He had a 14-point first quarter, now has 16. And here is a near steal, but turns into a personal foul on David Cruz, and that's his third. So now suddenly, Tom, 2 of the starters for Richmond got themselves some foul difficulties.
That's right. A couple of their front court men, Stell and now Cruz. Mount Vernon will have Troy Cross step to the line. And Troy's 1 of 1 at the free throw line. And Tim Cox comes back in, and
A.J. Hendricks.
A.J. Hendricks for Richmond, Cox for Mount Vernon.
I know they're just kids, but it's still tough playing 2 ball games in a day. That's the reason you're seeing so many people shuffling in and out of that lineup. Cross. All of a sudden, Mount Vernon can't buy anything from the free throw stripe after knocking home 5 in a row. They have now missed their last 3, 2 by Long, and that one by Cross.
There are a few things you look for when your shooting goes bad, and right now Cross is having his real problems. And one is the legs, and they have to be a little bit wobbly, a little tired right here, and that may be part of his problem shooting.
It's a 34-23 basketball game. Richmond by 11 with 2 minutes and 35 seconds to play in the first half. Coleman and Hendricks. They tried to go underneath, and a good defensive play by Cross. Quickly up court on the far side to Derek Shelton, who's been pretty well shut down, but he got 2 there. Shelton has only 4 points. He had a 28-point, 13-rebound game today and played one of the best games I've ever seen played in the semi-state, and it went over Pike. And I'm sure Ed Siegel, the coach at Pike, will comment on that with Tom Hessian at halftime. We're approaching the 2-minute mark to go in the first half. The lead is at 9, 34-25. The Richmond Red Devils. They flip it back out to Woody Austin. He's cooled off considerably. Here is the battle for the rebound, and a foul will be called on Richmond's A.J. Hendricks. The first on him, and as Tom mentioned earlier, we're in the bonus situation, so we'll make that trip up court.
That was a big sequence right there. Richmond not able to score, and Mount Vernon with an opportunity at the free throw line. They right now trail by 9. They could get it back down to 7. Derek Cooper is off the bench for Richmond. He's going to replace Hendricks. And we're going to see Timmy Cox, the senior for Mount Vernon, at the free throw line.
Richmond's 12th appearance in the final 8. They've been to the final 4 3 times. The last time was in '85, of course, and they lost to Marion in the title game. Cox finally puts a stop to that missed string. We have a halftime score coming in from West Lafayette, which will pass along momentarily. 1:55 to play in the first half. Cox first 2 points of this contest. He had 2 in the earlier game today against Pike. 34-27. Good, strong move by Coleman. Back out to Woody Austin, but Coleman stepped on the baseline. That time, Tom, simply too quickly for their own good. Here is the halftime marker in West Lafayette at Mackey. Roosevelt a lead over Catholic by 34-17. Really a low-scoring first half for Lafayette Central Catholic. The winner here gets the winner at Lafayette in the second game at Market Square next Saturday. We'll be on the air at 10:30. Game 1's at 11. Game 2 right about 12:30. Plus outside.
Big help right there for Mount Vernon, coming right here in the latter stages of the half. They're right in the basketball game now with a 5-point Richmond lead.
A minute and 23 seconds to play in this first half. Now, let's see what Richmond decides to do here. They've got a 5-point lead. It's been as high as 11. And Mount Vernon chopped that down in a hurry. Woody Austin missing again. Got his own board. Will try it again and may have stepped on the baseline again. Instead, he walked. Now, Tom, here is an awfully big possession for Mount Vernon.
Well, a situation with Austin having gone cold, and if Cross can come back with his offensive production that he normally has, then Mount Vernon has an opportunity to cut it further.
They lob it down low to Wong, and he missed it, but he's fouled.
Nice pass from the outside by Rankin.
They will call the personal foul on number 40. Derek Cooper.
Rankin has the ball. Only Long can get his hands on it. No one else. Perfect location. And he'll be at the strike.
I suppose, Tom, if your guards are not doing much for you scoring-wise, then that becomes part of their job. Long gets the free throw.
Jimmy Howe thinks a lot of Chris Rankin and his ability to get the ball in the hands of the scorers.
Tony Long is 5 out of 7 from the stripe. Now 6 out of 8. They've all come in this period. He has a 14-point ball game going. Now with 1 minute and 1 second to play in the first half, now the pressure being employed by Mt Vernon. Just keep an eye on this Mt Vernon outfit. When the ball goes into the corner or the sideline, they have black shirts coming at you from every direction. You swear there's a half a dozen guys on the floor. They're right there. They trap in a hurry. Now the only problem is you can break free, but here's a foul in from behind on Chris Rankin. This is as close as Mt Vernon's been for a while. They trailed at the end of the first quarter, 22-15. Then the lead moved to 11 for the Red Devils. Now it's down to 3, 34-31.
Richmond has only been to the foul stripe 4 times, 2 each by Austin and Coleman. They have yet to miss, and it'll be Coleman at the stripe.
Jerry was 6 out of 8 in the afternoon game from the free throw stripe, and he's 3 out of 3.
Mt Vernon trying to trap the Richmond dribbler, in this case Coleman, as he gets across the line, and that's where you see them get the double team there and then play the passing lanes, force him to throw the longer pass that gives some opportunity to their defense moving to the ball.
Well, let's see if the Marauders can get back to within 3 again. They're down now by 5, 36-31. Rebound comes off Long on the other side, but out of the fingertips of John Claiborne and saved by the Mt Vernon Marauders. 39 seconds to play. You see on the top of your screen the time superimposed. Skip pass across near side to Cross. Cross penetration. Great play.
He doesn't take it to the basket often, but he had a nice touch from behind the board. And an important offensive play for Mt Vernon.
Here is Coleman inside. Coleman may have got caught with the offensive foul. He did. And that's 2 on Jerry Coleman. Now, Mt Vernon's got a chance to cut the lead even further.
I don't know if they called an offensive foul. Yes, it is. No free throw shooting. We're going to see Coleman a little out of control. Comes down, goes up. Defensive man, Rankin or Cox, I think it was Chris Rankin. He kind of moved out there a little bit, so he made sure there was contact, and he got the call. Good, smart play.
Now we're down to the final 15 seconds of the first half. 36-33. Mt Vernon trails by 3. They've been behind much of this game. They led early on by 3. Final 10 seconds. Cox, short, rebounded Long. Into the hands of Mt Vernon. The shot at the buzzer. And that's it. It is so noisy in here, you can hardly hear that buzzer. It has been a wild first half of basketball. Neither side has tossed in the towel on this one. It's a 36-33 game, a 3-point lead. The Richmond Red Devils, though they led by 11, had to battle for their lives late in that first half to maintain that margin. At halftime, Richmond 36, Mt Vernon 33.
Well, at halftime of tonight's championship basketball game, we're very pleased to be able to speak to Ed Siegel, and I know it's a disappointing moment for him to have to be here at halftime. Ed, your ball club really ran into a club that was playing exceptionally well this afternoon, weren't they?
Yes, I felt that Mt Vernon played extremely well, and I didn't think we played near as well as we were capable of. We had a couple of kids who just did not shoot well, and we missed some foul shots down the stretch. We told a couple of our kids the day before that they had to make foul shots down the stretch, and we had to get at least 15 points out of the other guard position. But Mt Vernon has a nice ball club, and they played extremely well.
Has any ball player this season played as well against you as Derek Shelton did this afternoon?
Ginta of Carmel, he has. Derek Shelton, all the scouting reports and everything we had on him was that he's the unsung hero of the Mt Vernon basketball team. The best athlete on the team. He's a blue-collar worker. He just is a tremendous athlete and a very hard-nosed, tough kid. But the Ginta kid, and I don't mean to be taking anything away from Shelton, but Mike Ginta of Carmel is the best ball player we played against this year.
Shelton probably a little more pure athlete than basketball player.
Yes, I think that's definitely true. I think he's a football player, if I remember correctly.
He's had a couple seasons gaining over 1,000 yards as a running back, I believe.
I mean, he's just a great athlete. That's all there is to it. He's a great athlete and very smart on the floor.
Let's go back once more to your ball club. You've really accomplished a lot of things this season, and I know that has to give you a great deal of pride. It's always tough when you go out the way it happened here this afternoon in a ball game where you feel you have a chance to win. But it really was one of Pike High School's great basketball seasons.
Well, yes. If every year I coached at Pike High School in Marion County, we win the county championship, our conference, the sectional championship, and the regional, it'd be a fantastic year every year. This ball club came a long way from where we were in October since we graduated so many people. So I was really pleased with our ball club, and I told the kids at the ball game, I said, hey, we gave it our best shot. It wasn't the best today. They played extremely well, but we're winners, and we won a lot of tournaments.
Well, you certainly are. Congratulations to you. I see the news named you the area coach of the year, and you certainly are a credit to the game of basketball, and we appreciate having you with us here this evening.
Well, thank you very much. Could I say one thing before we get off here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd just like to congratulate all of the Pike fans for their support during this run for the state championship. And also, I'd like to bring out one other point about our fans. Mt Vernon was sitting in front of our cheering section, our fans. Our fans have a lot of class. They could have said a lot of things. They could have harassed the Mt Vernon coaching staff and players a great deal. And we don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. We believe in class. And we have class people at Pike High School. And we have class fans. And that's what makes it great about coaching at Pike High School.
Well, and part of that is your influence, I'm sure. We thank you, Ed. We're going to be back with more basketball in just a moment, right after this word.
We're at halftime. Richmond had an 11-point lead in the second period. It's now down to 3, 36-33. Elsewhere around the state, they're playing at Fort Wayne. And at halftime, it is the Marion Giant Ball Club rolling over Penn 52-28. And the winner at Fort Wayne will play the winner at Evansville, where Bedford North Lawrence and Evansville Memorial are playing right now. We have a note here. One of the students, I believe it was, at Mt Vernon asked me to pass this along. One of their teachers, Mr. Pat Ludwig, 8th grade basketball coach in the hospital, and they've asked you to get well soon, and I can go along with that. And a brief look at the individual scoring. Richmond led by Woody Austin with 16, Jerry Coleman with 14, and the top scorer for the Mt Vernon Marauders was Tony Long. In fact, the only player in double figures for Mt Vernon with 14 points, including 10 in the second period, where he hit 6 out of 8 from the free throw line. So we'll be back with the second half tip-off between the Richmond Red Devils and the Marauders of Mt Vernon in just a minute.
There are the numbers on the first half. You see both ball clubs same attempts from the field, 28. Excellent free throw shooting on both sides. Richmond has out-rebounded them by 6 and also have out-errored Mt Vernon by 5. So it's a 3-point ball game. Richmond on top, and we're ready for the second half.
Mt Vernon got all but 2 points from its starting unit. Richmond got all of its points from its starting unit. Nothing out of Hendricks and Larlin Cooper, who came in. The 2 Mt Vernon off the bench points out of Tim Cox on a couple of free throws. So the second half possession belongs to the Mt Vernon Marauders. They trail by 3, and Tom will see if that momentum that they had the end of the first half will continue. Well, apparently it will, at least early on. Troy Cross with his 9th point, and they pulled it to within 1. That's as close as they've been in a long time.
A little interesting situation. They had Long out in the corner. He normally plays down low, and Cross moved inside for that one.
Just underway in the second half of play. The winner moves on to Market Square Arena to face the winner of that Gary Roosevelt Lafayette Central Catholic game, which had Gary Roosevelt in command at the halfway mark. Good ball movement. Here's Woody Austin. Let's see if he can start off where he started off the first half of the ball game. Apparently not. The rebound comes out of there off the shot by David Cruz out of bounds to Richmond. Well, Woody is as cold now, Tom, as he was hot at the outset of the ball game. He had 7 out of his first 8 shots.
Well, he is. I tell you, John Claiborne, gets to that offensive board extremely well. He didn't get one to drop that time, but he's had some tips up and around that hoop and really battled it in that particular sequence.
1-point lead for Richmond, 36-35. It was 36-33 at halftime, and Vernon got the only hoop so far in the second half off of Troy Cross. Bounce pass near side to Woody Austin. Austin is still not back on target again. There's the lead pass. They could take the lead, and they do. That is Derek Shelton. And Shelton has now given Mt Vernon a 1-point lead, 37-36. Good full-court pressure by Chris Rankin. Down to Andrew Stell in the corner. Stell with 3 personal fouls. Cruz has 3. Backing in for the hoop is Stell. First 2 points of the contest for Andrew, who averages almost 8 per game and had 10 in the victory over Bloomington South earlier today.
Richmond with a 1-3-1 half-court defense, and Mt Vernon, they throw the ball right over the top in both directions here.
They're not afraid to throw the ball anywhere, are they, Tom?
No, they're not. I'll tell you, the zone defenses move so much toward the ball on all occasions, and there's a big hoop for him outside. Troy Cross.
Cross now with 11. He's the leading scorer on the club at 16-9, and it's back to a 1-point lead for the Mt Vernon Marauders. Claiborne. Cruz, rather. David Cruz with 4 points. Now they're both warming up to the task. And we continue to exchange leads. Richmond up by 3 at halftime. Finally went down by 1. Now lead by 1, 40-39.
The offense always gets a weapon to whip the defense. There's a miss by Rankin, and Claiborne with a rebound.
Well, they try to fill the lanes and shuffle the ball off to Coleman. Now they hand it back outside and get it right back from Claiborne. 5 minutes and 22 seconds to play, third period.
And the weapon that they're trying to use when you say you always want to move your feet in the zone, don't get caught standing still, move to the ball, and they're moving so well to the ball anymore that the offense now is attacking it by throwing it back over. And in some instances, you'd be better off standing where you were.
Yep.
And I'm sure that you couldn't get away with it forever, or they'd attack you in another spot.
Yeah, it's interesting, Tom. They list Austin and Coleman as the guards for Richmond, but if you really watch it, Coleman is a point guard, and then Austin almost becomes a third forward down there.
Right. That last foul, by the way, was the third on Tony Long, and that does not bode well for the Marauders. Well, what happened there? He just let him go with 3 fouls. He let Stell have a clear path to the basket.
When Stell gets positioned down low, there's not much you're going to do with him anyway, so why risk the personal foul? 42-39, back to a 3-point lead. Now they skip past inside. They got the hoop, and a foul is going to be tagged on David Cruz, and I show him with 4 personal fouls. And in front of us here, Cross leading Shears.
Well, we told you earlier that when Long gets the ball low, he's as good as anybody here. And look how strong he goes up. Cruz, not a big jar from behind, but certainly contact, and enough to put him to the bench with his 4th foul.
Well, he's not the one you want to send to the free throw line if you're Richmond, because Tony Long had himself an excellent first half at the free throw line. He was 6 out of 8. He was 3 out of 8 in the game earlier today against Pike. I'm sure Ed Siegel would have liked to have seen a few more of those roll off the edge of the rim. 4:40 to play in this third period. Coleman wanted the shot, still wants it. Now comes near side to Claiborne. Loose ball picked up by Mt Vernon. The scramble is on, and the foul is against Richmond. It's going to be on Andrew Stell, and that's 4 on him. So 2 of the starting frontliners for the Richmond Red Devils, Andrew Stell and David Cruz, have 4 personal fouls.
Well, Claiborne has a shot partially blocked. Derek Shelton has trouble holding on. Now we have the loose ball. Shelton, look at him in there. Ball picked up by Long, and from behind, Stell. And now look where he is. He's on the bench.
You know, I don't know that Mt Vernon wants to be called a little school, but that's one thing that small schools do. They really go after the basketball when it's loose on the floor. Not that the big schools don't either, but it seems to be such a personality trait of a smaller school. Ball lost to the midcourt stripe, picked up. There's a good fast break, and the ball, the shot is missed by Claiborne and picked up by Mt Vernon. Again, the scramble, and we got a walking violation called against Mt Vernon. That time, the defense of Richmond just collapsed all over Mt Vernon, and the player is down on the floor holding the back of his head. And that is Chris Rankin. Jimmy Howell looking on with his assistants across the way. We'll take a look at it again here.
Well, they have to battle to get that ball away. Looked like Claiborne was going to have it down and in there. And the ball gets away on the dribble. I think Rankin kicked it a little bit. And he might have gotten hit by the knee of Coleman as he came across the top of him in the back of the head. And they're going to take Rankin out. Let him rest a moment, and John Klein will be his replacement.
Talking about size, Mount Vernon shows 761 students in 4 grades. If Central Catholic goes out of the tournament, Tom, my guess is that they become the smallest school left at this point in time.
Well, I imagine that's right with North Harrison bowing out this afternoon.
It's a 1-point lead for Richmond. They play pitch and catch out deep. That zone setup, it's a 2-1-2 zone. Now here's Coleman. Coleman can't get it. There are black shirts everywhere. Jerry Shelton with the basketball. Mount Vernon trailing by 1, just inside 4 minutes here in this third quarter. Cox.
Hey, he shot that ball with a lot of confidence.
He's only a 35% field goal shooter on the season. Good follow-up by Claiborne. Off the miss by Woody Austin.
Claiborne has been very impressive tonight with his offensive board work. He really gets up there well and gets himself in position to be effective.
Here is Cross right in front of us. Bottom of the hoop. Troy Cross, 13. He had 7 in the first half, 6 already here in the third period. Back to a 1-point lead for Mount Vernon. Woody Austin, nothing doing. And a great rebound as coming in from deep behind was Tim Cox. He's had a great offensive spurt and defensive spurt. Here he is with the basketball. Swings right side, now puts it back out to Cross on the near side. Bounced inside to Shelton, dropped it down low, and Long was looking for the shot.
Yeah, they just caught him that time when he wasn't expecting it. And I think we've had an official timeout.
Indeed we have, with 2:54 to play in the third quarter. Mount Vernon leading Richmond by 1, 45-44. Down in Evansville, where Bedford North Lawrence is playing Evansville Memorial, they are just now tipping off. Of course, there's a 1-hour time differential in the Pocket City, so they are just getting underway down there. And as we get a halftime score or scores, we'll pass them along. After Woody Austin hit 7 of his first 8 shots, or 6 of his first 7 shots, he has now gone 1 for his last 10. Here are the team field goal percentages. Mount Vernon, of course, on a tear of late, 54% to the 48% for the Richmond Red Devils, and the rebounding advantage belongs to Richmond by a sizable margin. Another steal by Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon seems to be, at this particular point, playing with a little more zip than they had earlier in the ball game. They probably have gotten over that feeling that they ought to be tired and just forget it and play.
Well, they got a little rest at halftime, so they're working on that right now, although that was 5.5 minutes ago. It's amazing what a couple of offensive spurts will do for you. Now Coleman finally finds the hoop. He has 16. Those are his first second-half points, though. Mount Vernon last year was 17-6, losing in the Newcastle Regional to Greensburg, but the JV squad was 18-2. That thereby building this particular squad, or at least helping to build the squad. Flip pass inside. No place to go down deep for Tony Long. They'll bring it back out with 1:55 to play in the third quarter. Richmond not in front by 1, 46-45.
A lot of patience being shown right here.
Rebounded by Shelton. He put the ball on the floor and it hit his foot, but a foul apparently coming in from behind on Jerry Coleman. And I've got Coleman down now for 3. So Stell has 4, Cruz has 4, and Coleman has 3. So 3 of the starters for Richmond facing some foul difficulties. This is Derek Shelton at the free throw line, where he was 12 of 13 this afternoon. This is his first trip tonight.
I'm not sure they're in the bonus yet, Jerry. He's going to have to
you're right.
Put the ball in play.
A little early for the bonus. I think it's only like the third team foul against Richmond here in the second half. So no foul shots involved yet. Inside to Long, deflected away, and last touched by Arlen Cooper. Don Klein will inbounds to Long, right in front of the hoop. White shirts come out of there. Rebounded by Claiborne. In a hurry. Mount Vernon gets back on defense and almost made the steal. Long on the miss by Woody Austin, who's now 1 of his last 11. 46-45. And a foul down low. No kicking the ball.
You know, I'm over here saying they've got to get the ball in the hands of Austin. They'd be better off right now if he didn't touch it the way he's going.
It is an amazing game time. Here's a guy at the outset of the ball game who's playing like a world beater, now can't buy one. 1 of his last 11 for Woody Austin, who averages 23-4 and had 14 in the first period. Cox again. Tim Cox He does. He looks like an All-American shooter the last couple of shots he's taken. Almost a steal, but a foul. Good effort by Klein, but John didn't quite get there in time and picked up his first personal foul. 47-46, Mount Vernon by 1. Here's a look at the effort again of Klein.
Yeah, here's the second team foul. He's going to try and intercept the pass. I'll tell you, Hendricks could have gone for the ball just a little stronger and not allowed Klein inside, but it turned out all right for Richmond.
A.J. Hendricks now playing guard outside with Coleman at least helping to bring the ball up court. Claiborne deep in that left corner. Now here is Woody Austin again. He almost double-dribbled. 44 seconds to play, third period. Richmond led by 11 in the second quarter. Led by 3 at halftime, 36-33. Now trail by 1, 47-46. Jerry Coleman from downtown, 18.
Well, his range is amazing.
It really is. That time the defense had sucked in low, and Coleman said, well, all right, I'll take it out here.
And that was in a situation where several teams might have been content just to wait for the final shot of the quarter. And that may be what Mount Vernon is going to do.
We're in the final seconds of period number 3. Here is Cross. Cox wanted it again, flips it inside. Now here comes Cross on the other side. Couldn't get it, and that's the end of 3. Well, Mount Vernon made up a couple of points in that deficit at halftime. After 3 periods, we have 8 more minutes to play for the right to move to Market Square. It's Richmond 48, Mount Vernon 47. Tom, I wanted to mention this earlier. Sometimes we forget that these coaches we talk about are also teachers, and you were interviewing Ed Siegel at halftime. He has been voted the Teacher of the Year 5 times out at Pike High School. So we have to remember that this is almost a secondary job for these coaches. They put in a lot of hours doing this job.
Well, that's very true. It's an individual that really is dedicated and enjoys the life they have and what they're able to afford the young people that they come in contact with.
And willing to give up a lot of free time. Austin, finally. Woody Austin now 2 of 12.
Played him right in the middle of that zone that time.
Woody now with 18 points, but 14 of those came in the first quarter of play. The lead goes back to 3. That's as big as it's been for quite some time. Halftime lead was 3. Mount Vernon then got in front by 1 on 3 or 4 occasions. Now they move Cox to the other side, and he's still got the hot hand. Tim Cox with 8 points. He scored 2 points. His average this afternoon, his average is 3 per game. And it's a 1-point lead now for the Richmond Red Devils. Now they've got Coleman inside. Now they get it underneath, and they got the hoop from David Cruz, and they'll also go to the free throw line.
Pretty good job by the Red Devils that time handling the press. Coleman makes a nice pass underneath. There you see Coleman 30. Look at him. Bounces it underneath there. Did a good job with it. Mike Haynes would have probably deflected that pass had he tried to take it over the top.
Well, a quick timeout. A quick timeout has been taken with 7 minutes and 22 seconds to play in this fourth period. Richmond took the timeout. It is 52-49. The Red Devils lead Mount Vernon. We'll return to Hinkle Fieldhouse in a minute. At the free throw line, David Cruz for the Red Devils of Richmond. 76% shooter, 3 out of 4 in the afternoon win over Bloomington South. First trip to the free throw stripe tonight. Fails to convert the three-point play. And a walking violation called against Long as he goes to the deck.
Well, that's a tough play for Mount Vernon. Tony Long had the rebound, and I think he was a little concerned about the people stripping it away from him and took a little step in there that was detected.
Woody Austin, has he got the hot hand? Yeah, he's got it back again. If you weren't with us at the outset of the ball game, Woody Austin was just on fire. He had 14 points in the first quarter on 6 out of 7 from the field and 2 out of 2 from the free throw stripe. Now they picked that lead back to 5 again after Mount Vernon had gone ahead by 1. Here is Long, and that time he actually worked himself into the foul. Woody Austin's first. Tommy had what appeared to be an unmolested layup and just forced himself into Woody Austin.
Yeah, this is a problem in teaching young people right here. He's not even looking at the basket. See, he's looking at the defender, although he got hit pretty good, but had he gone straight to the basket, I think he could have laid it in and possibly drawn the foul on top of it.
Tony Long has had 64 points in the tournament so far, 40 in the sectional, 24 in the regional, with a game high of 24 in the second game of the sectional. He had 11 points and 8 boards earlier today. He missed them both, so he turned what could have been a sure field goal into nothing that time. A 5-point lead now for Richmond's Red Devils. We're still early in this fourth period, 6 minutes and 50 seconds to play.
Difficulty that Woody Austin had shooting the ball in that third quarter. But I doubt that George Griffith told him to back off. He probably let him go right ahead and shoot, and he's done a good job. They've got a zone and one. They've got Cox guarding him right now, and the other 4 players in a zone.
Claiborne works his way inside. Now the basket was good. Let's see if the foul is going to get a foul against Cox, and I think it was away from the ball.
Well, here's Claiborne. We don't see Cox in that picture. But Cox is over here with Woody Austin on the other side of the lane, and it is going to be Austin at the line. And it is a box and one, and Cox's assignment is Austin.
All right, so the personal foul goes to Cox, his first. And it'll be Austin inbounding.
Yeah, that's the 4th team foul, so
no shots.
Both clubs will be in the bonus now the remainder of the ball game.
56-49. Richmond has stretched that lead back out to 7 again. Coleman. Here's the outlet pass to Cross. Here is Troy. Bounce pass. Good play. And what do we got?
A goaltend.
All right. And in a
little cramp problem here by Tony Long.
Long, who went to the layup, came down. I thought for a moment Tommy was really hurting, but I think you're right. I think it is a cramp.
Well, let's see here. Cross bounces it behind Coleman. There goes Long, and it's tipped on the board by David Cruz, the out official correctly calling the play, and they're going to keep Long in the contest.
5-point lead, 56-51. Richmond with the lead and the basketball. Well, they kick it back out and try to eat some of that clock. Claiborne over to Coleman. Here's Woody Austin. Oh my, 22 for Woody. We'll have some other semi-state scores for you at the next dead ball. Way off the mark by Rankin. And picked up by Richmond. Now with 5.5 minutes to play in this ball game, Richmond's back in the driver's seat. Here's the foul. And they're looking at number 40, Troy Quass. And that's 2 on him. Well, let's move you out now to the Fort Wayne semi-state. Well, the timeout has been taken. We'll come back and get these scores for you. With 5:31 to play in this ball game, it is now a 7-point lead for Richmond over Mount Vernon, 58-51. Quick swing around the state. Marion doing a number on Penn at the end of 3 quarters of the Fort Wayne semi-state. West Lafayette, Gary Roosevelt with a 55-36 lead there. And just underway down in Evansville, they're an hour behind us. Bedford North Lawrence, a 4-2 lead over Evansville Memorial. How many points do you think Damon Bailey's got over in that game, Tom? Probably got all 4 of them. Coleman with 19.
Well, outside of Memorial, you can imagine a lot of people around the state are pulling for North Lawrence, Bedford North Lawrence, so they can watch that young man next week.
We'll have you on television for you if you are not one of the fortunate few of 17,000 or so who managed to get tickets to the finals at Market Square Arena. Our coverage begins at 10:30 here on Channel 4. 9-point lead for Richmond. Their biggest lead was 11 in the second period. Now they trail by 1 in the third quarter. Mount Vernon a good comeback, but all of a sudden Richmond's taking command of the basketball game. Here is the baseball pass to Coleman. And the foul. It is on Cross, and that is 3.
I watched a good outlet pass. Well, we missed the pass, but you see Coleman in the possession. Cross is going to challenge him. I'm not sure he got anything but the ball that time. Coleman really, for 5'9", gets a lot done on the basketball floor.
We mentioned earlier in the day that George Griffith says that Coleman is the best little guard in the state. He should be an all-star. He's had 42 points in the regional games of 12 and 30. Those 30 points coming against Connersville.
Yeah, he's carrying a lot of hardware on that right knee also.
Coleman now with 21 points. Well, maybe it should be 22 here, I guess. And it's 62-51. That equals the biggest lead of the game. And Shelton gets 2 back at the other end. Derrick, after the 28-point performance against Pike, has only 8 points, a field goal in each quarter so far in this ball game. 9-point lead, 62-53. 4 minutes and 40 seconds to play, and Woody Austin's got it going again. Woody with 24.
Mount Vernon's defense really spread wide that time. They had no difficulty getting it into Austin.
This time they go to the big guy, Tony Long, who picks up his 20th point of the game. He's had a 31-point day. Steal on the inbounds pass, but a baseline violation prior to that steal, and out of bounds to Richmond. 4 minutes and 24 seconds to play.
Marauders fighting back here. They're going to push them all over the floor. Richmond wants a timeout.
George Griffith using his timeouts. And we'll take a break also with 4:24 to play. 9-point differential. Richmond 64, Mount Vernon 55. Back to live action just as they get the inbounds pass into Jerry Coleman. 4:21 to play. Richmond just that far away from a trip to the Final Four. With a shoulder foul, apparently on Andrew Stell.
Well, they called it on Tony Long.
Oh, my.
Tony can't believe it.
Well, I'm not sure I know where it came from either. That's the 4th on Tony Long. Yeah, let's take a look at it again here.
Well, I think they felt that Long had jumped into Stell. Certainly he had the inside position.
Andrew at the line, 76%, 4 for 4 earlier, has not been to the stripe yet tonight. And get the roll, rebound pulled down by Mount Vernon. Well, the Marauders are not dead yet, but they got to get something going in a hurry. Here's Cross. Battle underneath, and Long's got it. He missed the shot, but will apparently go to the free throw line. Well, that's no place for the faint of heart into the hoops tonight. That's for sure. Is that 5?
I think that's it for Dave Cruz. Maybe it's only 4. Let's wait and see.
Well, they're showing only 4.
There's the shot from Cross.
That is 5.
And Cruz went up. Ball still being contended. And Cruz turns around, and he can't believe he made contact, but he is going to have to leave the lineup with 3:56 to play.
David Cruz, starting forward, 6'4" junior, 8 points per game, had 6 in this ball game tonight. He will come out, and A.J. Hendricks will return.
You know, as we're watching the ball game now, and basketball fans around the country are seeing more college basketball played. We've got a 9-point ball game, and you know, a lot of people are going to say if they had the 3-point play, this could happen and that could happen. And I'm one that believes it's going to be in high school play before too long, whether we like it or not.
I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, see it next year. I really would. There's been a lot of talk about it. Some of the states have already got it, by the way. I think 3 already have the 3-point play. And I talked to an official the other day and asked him if he thought that would be a problem for the high school officials. And he said no. It's just something else to work on, and we can do that. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that college distance, because I think that's just about the high school distance. Woody Austin missed it, but on a kind of a fan foul, Tim Cox picks up number 2. We'll take a look at it one more time.
Well, the ball's given off by Hendricks to Austin near the free throw line. He goes up, and Cox took a swipe right there, as you saw. He thought he got the ball, but Austin's going to be at the line.
Woody Austin with games of 21 and 16 in the regional. A 19-point game here earlier today, and so far tonight, 24 points.
Well, you'd think a guy like this would be to the line a little more often. It's only his second trip to the line. Two-shot free throw situations for Austin.
65-57. Richmond still out in front. That time, Cross got kind of tangled up. Now, the ball is picked up and stolen by Coleman. A 1-on-3 break. Coleman flips it back, and stepping in front is Tony Long. They got a guy up court, and they can't find him. It was Troy Cross. Nobody was there. Here comes Tim Cox. Cox dishes it back outside to Derek Shelton. 3 minutes and 13 seconds to play. All alone inside. Tony Long. Long having a good 4th period with 8 points in the quarter, 24 points of the night, and a foul right after the hoop. So the basket will count. And the foul is against Mount Vernon. It's on number 10, Chris Rankin.
Big free throws here for Richmond. Rankin picks up his second foul. And Mount Vernon is going to scrap this one right to the end, as the Red Devils will do also. In a very competitive basketball game, Jerry, we certainly have not been denied today of seeing some fine high school basketball.
No, we have not. Mount Vernon's only losses this year were to Warren Central, Cathedral, and at Anderson Highland. And we mentioned earlier that game that they lost to Cathedral, they were outscored 22-10 in the fourth quarter, or they would have had another victory in the other number in the win column. They lost their final regular season game by 10 to Anderson Highland, and then, of course, went on a tear.
And that's the way you win ball games late, because they're going to foul you, and you step up to the line, and you hit the one-on-one like Coleman did.
I've got Coleman, Tom, hitting 10 out of 10 from the free throw stripe in this ball game.
That's right.
And you're right, those
7 field goals and 10 from the stripe.
So Coleman and Woody Austin, the guards, are having themselves a good night. Shelton can't get the rebound. There's a battle for the rebound, and the foul is on Mount Vernon. Coming in from behind is Tim Cox with his third foul. Well, we showed you the statistics. As you look at it again, we showed you the stats before the game. Watch the rebound come down here in the battle underneath. We showed you the matchup statistically at the start of the game, Tom, and we mentioned that Austin and Coleman combined for almost 41 points a game, and they're going to be in that range again tonight. In fact, they already are.
And there was a picture sequence right there that shows you why Richmond has been a very good rebounding team all season, and that's one of their strong points. Good jumpers.
Rebound torn out of there by Tony Long. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remain. 67-59. The lead belongs to Richmond. They've had it as high as 11 this period. They have not trailed this quarter, but were down by 1 in the third period when Mount Vernon played its best action of the game. Here's the shot by Long inside, and again, Tony having a good fourth period. And a steal, and a whistle, and a foul at the midcourt stripe on Woody Austin. And the second on Woody. You see the clock at the top of your screen. Now it disappears. 2:35 remain in this ball game.
Well, the ball was deflected by Mount Vernon. Austin had trouble grabbing a hold of it. He bangs into Cross, hit him with his legs as he was hitting the deck. And the official's going to send Cross to the free throw line with a 1-1. Important free throws at this end of the floor.
Troy Cross, 6'5", starting junior forward, with a 20-point performance in the win over Pike. Now has 14 points tonight and has 2 out of 3 from the free throw line. Mount Vernon's not giving up the ghost yet, Tom. Plenty of pressure from everywhere. They leave one man deep, Tony Long, and a turnover, and Mount Vernon's got it again.
Well, Austin a little excited that time, trying to think that they need more points, which they may need before it's over, but they're going to get an opportunity at the line if they can just handle the ball a little bit.
You don't normally see a George Griffith coached club come unglued. Not that Richmond has, but they're not the kind of a coached outfit that's going to make a lot of stupid mistakes under pressure conditions. And as Tom and I were talking in commercial break, here's Cross. They have played a difficult schedule this year, so they know what competition's all about. On the break, Long gets back in a hurry. Rebound tapped up by Woody Austin and good. And Austin's having a fourth quarter like he had in the first quarter.
Tony Long has a cramp, and they're going to stop play right here.
Oh, that hurts so bad. He's down in the corner right in front of the Richmond bench, and one of the Richmond trainers or assistants gets up to help him. If you've never had a cramp in your leg, you can't imagine the excruciating pain. It just tightens up. Look at it again here and see if we can find it.
Well, here comes Coleman down, and watch the tip in here. There's 10 Austin underneath. There's the shot taken. It's going to come off the board. Look at Cross. He's got him boxed away. You see Long go down in the front court on the opposite side. Nice tip in by Austin. Long just made a move, and the cramp hit him, and we're going to try to get him back where he's going to be in condition to wind up this final couple of minutes.
You see this a lot in second games of days like this, Tom, with the semi-state or the state finals, when the kids have got to go the extra 32 minutes. Now he will have to go out of the ball game. He can come back into the next dead ball, but he'll have to go out for the moment. And they'll massage that calf muscle over there, put a little ice on it perhaps.
6-point ball game, and the Marauders with an opportunity on their offensive end.
Rankin and Shelton can't get the rebound. Whistle, hacking foul, called against Mike Haynes. That's 2 on Mike. You know, Tom, it's not like Mount Vernon's shot selection's been all that bad. They've had those 15-footers, and you just can't turn them down and try to get something from 14 feet.
No, they've had good shots. There's the man from behind deflecting the ball, and Haynes is called for the foul.
Tony Long has come back in, but he looks to be at something less than 100%. He was limping coming back onto the floor, but he wants to be out there right now.
Yeah, he's a senior and a competitive kid.
Woody Austin, who lost the shooting eye in the second and third period, scoring only 2 points total in that 16-minute span, has it going again. He has 5 field goals and 2 out of 3 from the line in this period. I show Woody with 29 points. He had 19 in the earlier game, 29 tonight. He's been a terror. Here's Cross across the lane. Can't get the roll. Long fought for it and lost it. And here is a foul right at the timeline, and a blocking foul called against Mount Vernon. He tried to draw the blocking foul. He set himself up but didn't get set firmly, and Troy Cross has 4 fouls to join Tony Long in that department. A minute 39 to play, 71-63. After the first quarter, it was 22-15 Richmond. The Red Devils ran the lead to 11 in the second period, led at halftime by 3, 36-33. Mount Vernon caught fire in the third quarter, took a 1-point lead on about a half a dozen occasions, trailed at the end of 3 only by 1, 48-47, then trailed by 11 earlier in this period as Richmond exploded again, and now are down by 8, 71-63 with Jerry Coleman at the line. Coleman is 12 out of 12.
Well, a 10-point ball game. Richmond in pretty good shape right now.
Lobbed inside to Long, turns around and shoots over Claiborne and got it. Is Long having a pretty good fourth period time? Indeed.
Long's had a pretty good evening. He started kind of slow this afternoon, but he was playing against a big front line of South and wound up with 11 points. He's been in double figures most of the year, but an outstanding basketball game tonight for Tony.
Tony Long has 28 points. We'll try to check and see how many rebounds Tony Long might have in this ball game if we can get an individual count from our connection with the stat crew here.
Here's the man with the free throw string.
Still got it.
Hey, his shots do not touch much iron.
We are told that Long has 9 rebounds to go along with those 28 points. Tom. He doesn't have a field goal in the fourth quarter and yet has scored 10 points. Cross, 17 for him, but it's still a 75-67 ball games. Richmond would love just to exchange hoops right now for the final minute 10. It would appear that Richmond's about set to move on to the final 4. They throw the ball away. Mount Vernon keeps its hopes alive. It would be their 4th appearance in the Final 4, the last time in 85, when they lost to Marion. Picked up by Woody Austin. And the Richmond Red Devils now content to eat as big a chunk as the clock as they possibly can. Claiborne had a hurry to get it across that timeline. They throw it away. And the 10-second violation had been called by the official anyway. Now we'll take timeout. George Griffith is not happy. Timeout, 45 seconds to play. Richmond still very much in command. They lead Mount Vernon 75-67. Final 45 seconds for the right to move to Market Square. 75-67 Richmond. Red Devils with the lead. Mount Vernon has the basketball. They're working the outer perimeter. Here's Cross coming up short. And the rebound back down into the hands of Richmond. Stolen away. Mad dashes on. Hell ball belongs to Mount Vernon. There's George Griffith. George with a record of 89 wins and 38 losses at Richmond. He's won over 70% of his games. This would be his 90th victory at Richmond High School, a career mark of 242 and 102 for 70%. Won 7 sectionals, 5 regionals. This would be his 2nd semi-state, and the state runner-up to the Marion Giants in 85, losing by 7, 74-67. He has won 6 Coach of the Year awards, including 2 in golf, where he was the golf coach. Won 3 South Bend Holiday Tournaments, a graduate of Brighton, now Lakeland High School, and Ball State University. John Cate, Jim Hardman, Carl Harris, and Sherwood Haddock are his assistants. Over in the other column over here with Jimmy Howell, his assistants who have worked so hard, Randy Wilson and Bernie Campbell. And Jimmy with 101 victories and 37 losses for 73%. Now, 32 seconds to go in the game. The winner here will play the winner of the Lafayette semi-state in the second game at 12:30. Saturday afternoon. If you don't have a ticket, we got it for you here on Channel 4. Gary Roosevelt and Lafayette Central Catholic are playing in that second game. That's a championship game at Lafayette. Final 32 seconds of the contest now. Shuffled away down low and out of bounds, and last touch by Mount Vernon. So the Richmond Red Devils, looking to run their record to 23-4, have the ball in at the Mount Vernon end of the floor. They got it in. Here is Coleman. Coleman lost the dribble, managed to get it back. No violation. 20 seconds to play. Leading by 75-67. Here is the foul called against Mount Vernon. And on the floor is Coleman. They're slow getting up, but he's all right. Fatigue as much as anything. The foul is on Cross, and that's 5. So Troy Cross, who had a 20-point afternoon win over Pike, adds 17 to the total tonight. He had himself a good, strong effort. He will go out with that 5th personal foul. Shakes hands with Woody Austin on the way. Down to the lineup, Pat Bennett, number 42. And we'll get massive changes now. Number 11, Kurt Petty. Number 32, Jeff Lady. And number 50, Matt Russell. That takes care of everybody. Also coming into the lineup is John Klein. But now everybody on the roster can say they played in the semi-state game. Jimmy Howell shaking hands with his players as they leave the floor. Now goes out to greet Chris Rankin. And now a big bear hug from George Griffith for Andrew Stell. Tom Hessian is all wired up at the end of the floor. You all set, Tom? And we'll get a chance to chat briefly with George Griffith when the time permits at the end of the game, 15 seconds from now. Here's Coleman. Tom and I were talking about his ability at the free throw line. He is 16 for 16. I'll make it 14 for 14. It may be 16 for 16 by the time he gets through here. All the year, he's a 78% shooter. He was 6 of 8 this afternoon. Oh, as Tom pointed out, just rips the bottom of the net. Now a change for Richmond. Into the lineup, Sean Bledsoe. And out goes Jerry Coleman. I show him with 30 points in this ball game, including 12 here in this 4th period, and all from the free throw stripe. Counting it down, final 10 seconds, and Richmond moves on to the final 4. 5 seconds to go in the game. Crowd counts it down, and it's all over. Final score is 77-67. The Richmond Red Devils are winners over the Mt Vernon Marauders and have earned the right to meet the winner at Lafayette, either Gary Roosevelt or Lafayette Central Catholic, at the Final 4 at Market Square Arena next Saturday afternoon. We'll return to say hello to George Griffith, the victorious coach, in just a minute.
Well, here's the championship coach in this semi-state, George Griffith. Coach, congratulations. Listen, your backcourt kids really ate them up tonight.
Thank goodness. I tell you what, we really had a tough weekend. They really played us so hard. We just couldn't get in the sync. We couldn't get our breaks. We just didn't seem to do a lot of things right, but we prevailed and won the ball game.
You're going to get to come back next week and try it again.
We're going to Market Square. That's our dream. That was our goal, and it's just, you can't describe the feeling it is to get there.
I think it was 59 points of your total of 75 scored by Coleman and Austin, and just a terrific offensive display by them. But you're used to that, aren't you?
Yes, that's our normal show. They usually get that many points. We got to go inside a little bit tonight, too, when we needed to. And I can't give Jimmy and Mt Vernon a lot of credit. They played super basketball. They hurt us on their press. They took Jerry out of it, got him to the corner and trapped him. But again, we prevailed.
Your kids up front really got to the board well, I thought, and particularly in key situations for you.
Well, they've done that all year, and we got ourselves into foul trouble a little bit, but we're able to survive that. We're able to get the key rebounds when I thought too, the second ball game gets to the point where it's just guts, you know, because you're so tired. They had a tough game. We had a tough game physically, and I am so, so happy.
Coach, congratulations. We're going to be looking forward to seeing your ball club next week. I know you said that Steve Bennett, the coach up at Central Catholic, was one of your assistants. Looks like they've got their hands full tonight and may not make it, but certainly you're going to be there, and we know that you're going to represent the North Central Conference and Richmond very well.
Well, we're going to go after it. That's what we're here for.
George Griffith, the head coach of the Richmond Red Devils, they're going to be in the state finals next week. Now, Jerry, back to you.
All right, Tom, let's swing around the state and update the scores that we have for you. They're coming in now. We have a crew working on those scores. We have a couple of finals in. Let's see which way Dean wants to go first here. Let's go to West Lafayette. Up there, this final just in. Gary Roosevelt has knocked off Lafayette Central Catholic 66-43. An impressive 23-point win for Gary Roosevelt. They went into that ball game ranked 5th in AP's poll and 7th by UPI. Now let's swing to Fort Wayne, where the #1 ranked Marion Giants had an easy time apparently again with a 97-62 win. That says 42 on your screen. We show 62 on our sheet. 97-62 over Penn. So the Giants roll back into Market Square Arena looking for that 3rd consecutive state championship. Now down in Evansville, where again they're an hour behind us, there was 30 seconds left in the first half, and we got our information from there. It showed Bedford North Lawrence leading Evansville Memorial 26-23. Damon Bailey has scored 20 of the 26 points for Bedford North Lawrence. And I was being facetious earlier, Tom, when I said how many points you think Damon has when it was 4-2. He must have had all 4 of them. So that's the situation. The matchups next week, the winner at Fort Wayne versus the winner at Evansville, and then Richmond gets the winner at Gary Roosevelt and Lafayette Central Catholic, which is Gary Roosevelt, of course. Individual scoring in this ball game, Richmond led in scoring by Jerry Coleman with 30. Including 12 out of 12 from the free throw stripe in the 4th period. Tommy was 16 for 16 from the ball game. I don't think I've seen a better performance than that, except maybe when Steve Alford came in here a few years back with Newcastle.
Yeah, he had a big game against Broad Ripple that afternoon, but certainly Coleman, terrific from the free throw line. The ball's in his hands all the time. So obviously, when you're scoring 77 points, he's done a lot of things well.
Woody Austin had 29 for Mount Vernon, 28 points from Tony Long with a good, impressive ball game today. The team numbers, Mount Vernon hit 28 of 59, 47%. Richmond hit 28 of 53, 53% at the free throw stripe. Mount Vernon 13 of 19, 68%, 21 of 25 for Richmond for 84%. Turnovers 16 for Richmond, 9 for Mount Vernon. They played a pretty solid game there, and 35-26 Richmond out-rebounded Mount Vernon. A quick comment on the matchup between the Richmond Red Devils and Gary Roosevelt.
Well, I think it's going to be one of those ball games. We're going to see a lot of points scored. We're going to see the guard play from Richmond certainly going to be a factor, whether they can get the job done or not. Roosevelt is a ball club that will run with you.
All right, any reproduction of our telecast tonight strictly forbidden without the express written permission of WTTV, who also has approval of the announcers in our telecast. Jerry Baker speaking for Tom Hession, inviting you to join us next Saturday morning for the state finals. Our coverage begins at 10:30 a.m. live from Market Square Arena. Again, final score, Richmond with its 23rd win in 27 ball games, 77-67 over the Marauders of Mt Vernon High School. So long, everybody.
High school basketball has been brought to you in part by Hooks. We like to see you smile. By your local McDonald's restaurants. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. By Kroger, a part of Indiana since 1924. See the difference. Go Krogering. By your Central Indiana Pontiac Bank dealers. By Indiana Farmers Mutual Insurance Group and their independent agents throughout Indiana. And by Hills, a different kind of department store, saluting American competition. This has been a WTTV Channel 4 sports presentation.